Welcome to Inspiring Possible. I'm Christy Pennison, former stuck person turned therapist and dream consultant. Are you feeling stuck, overwhelmed, uncertain, or just need a little inspiration? Then I want to help you gain the clarity, confidence, and courage to create possibilities and live a life you love. Because folks, life's too short to be miserable. Welcome back to another episode. Thank y'all so much for tuning in today. I'm really excited to have you listening again and have you here. As always, we try to bring you ideas, fresh perspectives, things for you to think about as you are doing this journey called life. And today is no exception. And we're going to talk about a topic that we've talked about every now and then on here, but it is a thing that we all deal with. We have to have it to be able to, live really, because it's the way that we exchange things in this life. And if you're curious about what I'm talking about, it is that green paper that has some, former living people's heads on it. Okay. For most currencies, and that is money. Okay. So no matter where you are in the world, there is some currency. Now, in the United States, it's green, and other places, it's multicolored or different colored. But it is the thing that makes the world go round. And it's a way that we can, be able to get things and then give things to other people. But sometimes for a lot of us, we may have fears, anxieties, resistance, avoidance when it comes to actually talking about money. We may have old stories or beliefs that we have about money, but that's okay. If that's you today, then you came to the right place, because I actually have a wealth mentor, okay, and also an emotional intelligence strategist, because emotions and money can go very hand in hand. But she also helps people learn how to also tackle some of that fun thing that some of us just don't want to think about or think about, and that's called retirement planning. So that when you get there to that stage of your life, you can have a clear idea of what you want and what it looks like. And so if any of those things sound good to you, stay tuned, because we're going to be having some conversations today around money. So I am very excited to welcome Cosentino to the show. So welcome, Pri.
Thank you, Chrissy. Thank you for having me. Thank you for all of your listeners as well. It's a pleasure to be here and talk something that you mentioned. It's a green paper that can give us a ton of trouble and make us super happy as well.
This is so true. I'll be honest with you. I can't remember where I heard this somewhere, where they're like, you know what? Because some people might say, well, money doesn't buy you happiness, right? But then somebody the other day said, but money does buy you things that could make you feel less stressed and anxious in life. And financial security is a real thing that can bring a lot of peace into people's lives, and financial insecurity can cause a lot of stress. So just tell me a little bit, how did you land in the world of money anyways, or helping people deal with money?
So I can start with a long, long time ago, right? I started my career, started making money, and I had a great opportunity. Uh, and I put some money together, and I understood for my goals, and I had some crazy goals as my
What
20.
were they? I'm just curious. This is your 20-something-year-old self? Okay.
Yes. So my goal as my 20 something years old self wanted to have enough money to buy a helicopter with 30 years old.
Oh,
That
okay.
was so that was kind of a big. And why not a helicopter? I wanted to have the money for that, but I didn't want to buy one. I'm not a fun person with heights. So I didn't want to be in a helicopter. I just wanted the money for that. For some reason, I got it that people that had money for a helicopter was really wealth. That was my connections there in my 20s. So I was able to get some money, about $50,000, and then I lose it all. I did a really bad investment, but I was thinking in my goal to put the money aside. I listened to the wrong person, and all of that money, and maybe 50,000 right now from some of you listening here is not a ton, but you have to remember that I'm talking about a version of a 20 years old, early 20 years old Pri, that had just been able to get that money together. And if you remember in our 20s, $50,000 wasn't that easy to make.
I think most of our listeners would say, yes, $50,000 still today in their 30s or 40s. They wouldn't, I don't think anybody would turn that kind of money away. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, and that
But
was
yeah,
not
in
my
our
goal.
20s, that would almost seem like $1,000,000, you know what I mean? Like 50,000, you could do a whole lot of things with that.
That's what it's. But I had my goal, right? The helicopter goal. So I had to put money aside. So I was like each part putting aside exactly that. And but I went there, didn't know it all. But as a 20 years old, I have to confess, I thought that I knew it everything. I knew the right place, the right people, who to trust, what not to trust, and put all of it. Up to today, I wasn't able to see one penny, even though now I know a lot about finances. But the good part of this whole story, and that's why I'm sharing here, is because that's what made me start this career today. That's what made me go to understand about finances, about business, about accounting, so I could not pass through what I passed through and help others do the same. Because no one needs to lose $50,000. No one.
Yeah. So your pain of that being in your 20s, losing that money, you're like, I, number one, don't want this to ever happen to me again. And number two, maybe I can also help other people learn. And again, I think you just hit a point. Sometimes we trust people that in any area of our life that we feel like they know what they are talking about and they are advising us on how we should make choices in our life, and we don't know until we get to the other side, realizing that maybe they didn't know exactly what they were talking about. Maybe they weren't trustworthy. Maybe they had good intentions, but just really bad advice. And it almost sounds like you wanted to then be that person where then other people could trust you if they were seeking advice about what to do with money, how to make money grow, or, make it a little bit more of it. Because some people, I think we just, when we're, and honestly, in any phase of life, we just sometimes build relationships and we trust people. No. And then sometimes it's not always the best person to put all our eggs in one basket, I guess, so to speak.
Yeah, and I think that the realistic point about all of this is that we need to start identifying it. But because I was 20 years old, I thought that I would know all the answers, right? So that was a point about that. I didn't understood that when you're looking for the right person, there's a lot of things that we should check. Not only if what they say looks great, but it does that look great enough that's almost impossible. And a ton of times we allowed ourselves that, like, I was hoping for the 50 to be able to help me to the helicopter. So I was almost wanting something like that's not realistically. It's a start, but was not the final answer. So that was a
Yeah.
point that I should have realized and say, it can be my start, but cannot be the answer of my helicopter. That was like timely wise. Maybe if I wanted to have that, my helicopter only on my retirement, but that was not my goal. My goal was on with my 30s.
Yeah.
So uh, that,
Like you
we
said,
need,
we don't know. You see people, and I don't know about your experience in growing up, but sometimes we equate like people that have made it, like you said. In my mind, people that have made it have helicopters. So my goal is going to be to get a helicopter, right? It doesn't mean that I want the helicopter, I don't want to fly the helicopter, but I'm just equating financial security, financial abundance with must have helicopter. And I'm sure you learned over time that there's other ways to do that, but that's just the thought that you had. I mean, I used to think people that had yachts, that was my thing, yacht. Now, I don't want to buy a yacht because that's a lot to manage and maintenance and really don't have the money for it. But in my mind, a yacht would be really the place to, you have made it if you have a super yacht. Okay.
yeah. So and that's the helicopter, airplane, a yacht, those things. But was it reference? But then I understood that first, money is one thing, right? You mentioned that before, Chris. Is like money doesn't buy happiness directly, but it can help us if we understand the difference between what all of this means. So first, I got a few lessons from this. First, that I didn't want to pass through that anymore. That I need to go and study about it. That it I never really choose that as my mission. in life, but I saw that life managed that to happen. But another lesson is that first, you don't need to lose $50,000. But the second one is how it's important to understand what money means. Yes, money is the green paper, but what it means? It means that we can have it as a tool. Because as you mentioned before, yes, money cannot buy directly happiness, but can buy things that help us to do it. So is a tool to help me with a family trip, is a tool that can help me with a house, is a tool that can help me with food. If I understand the big difference between this, between the happiness itself, but between what it can help me with, that also helps me have less fear about money.
Yeah, that it's a tool. It's not mean it does not equal, but it's how you use the tool, right? You know what? I've also heard people sometimes say that they're afraid that this is gonna sound crazy, that if they have money, then it might be bad because it might I don't know if you've ever heard this um thought process or perspective, but sometimes people maybe have been raised with thinking that if you have a lot of money, then that's no good. Have you ever heard this?
Yes, I have.
Yeah.
Because what that's the problem is that the meaning that they put in the money. So if they see the money as a tool, money is not a problem because I'm not putting my money as the most important piece of my life, but that's something that can help me do what matters for me the most. But when we switch that meaning to money is the most important thing, that's when we heard a lot of those stories in
Money is
life.
bad or good, yeah.
Money is bad or good. Money is not going to allow you to grow, to get to the right places when life ends. So why? Why we heard those expressions? Because it's people being against of putting the money in front of everything, and then you start forgetting what matters the most. What needs to matters the most for us, and each one of us will have difference, right? But it's going to be family, yourself, your health, your friends, quality time, those should matter most than money. Money can be a tool for you to have family time, can be a tool for you to have to help you with your health and have a better quality. But it cannot be the only thing that you worry about because tons of times maybe you know someone or even yourself that worked so much for money that lost their family, lost their loved ones, lost themselves, lost their health. Burnout uh, syndrome is there with more people than less because what means is that money got so important that they
Yeah.
forgot about health.
And I think this can happen. This can happen very I have seen it. Look, my past thing that I used to do that I still kind of do some of today, but is to provide therapy, okay? And sometimes we talk about money in the therapy setting, but I have seen people that have really, like you said, in the pursuit of money, end up compromising some of the other things in their life that they realized later were very important things to them. But and not that the pursuit of money is necessarily bad or good, but in the abandonment of other things that you value in your life that also brings you safety and security and feelings of joy and are positive things in your life. I think that sometimes it can bring a lot of heartache, stress, strain, and it doesn't always equal happiness. And so I guess what I'm hearing you say is that money is a tool. And if we are able to identify what is most meaningful in our life and use that tool so that we can help our family, so that we can maybe be able to spend more time with them, so that we can, if we have an aging parent, we can take care of them. Whoever it is or what it matters most to us, and that money, that tool can actually amplify the things that matter the most in our life. And I don't know. I think it's hard because people just got different. They either have really positive mindset when it comes to using this as a tool, or they have these other belief systems that maybe come into play um, throughout their years and their experiences. So if you have somebody that you are working with that's just kind of like, look, I'm really scared to look at numbers. I'm really scared to look at my bank account. I'm really scared to embark on any type of planning for the future. what are normally the steps that you take them through to help them kind of just maybe view money differently and really start to make steps to be more intentional in that area of their life?
That's a great question, because when we think about that, we need to remember that yes, there's a ton of stuffs that we can do and use, but first we need to go back and look to their belief systems. So we are going to start the conversation and understand what's going on. In general, because they heard something about money being bad or the money destroys something in their life. Maybe they saw the parents fighting about money. So when we understand and talk a little bit, we will see what matters to them the most. You just mentioned that, right? We need to understand what matters. When we understand what matters and see, okay, what matters is for me to be happy with my family, to have my house, to be able to have a place when I'm at retirement age, to be able to help my parents with aging. So when I have that, what matters, I can clear see, okay, how can money help? And we start making those connections and seeing, okay, let's go little by little. See, okay, that's might not be everything, but we at least start having a picture of what that feels like. We start working to what that feels like. What's the emotions behind all of this? Now we start looking and saying, okay, what's right now we are living on? Maybe they don't want to see their bank account. So we can go ahead and see together what's going to be, what you have currently right now, and work towards understanding and cleaning their view. And I think a important part of all of this is that we have the most important tool, that's our decision making strategies. We can, if we've make a decision, we can change life. But if I don't look at our life right now, I won't be able to change anything. So I think when we were working, we see that part together and saying, okay, if I understand, even though I might not like the picture right now, maybe you are in a process of um, credit card debt. Maybe you have see yourself far away of your home dream. Maybe you're away from your retirement planning. Okay, but if I don't see it, I won't be able to take care of it. It's like a wound. If we don't go ahead and clean the wound, wash the wound, and check what is going to look like, it's going to be harder for that to heal. So I need to go there, and even though it's painful, I need to go and wash and take care and do what's necessary. For that, then I can have that really going back to the normal. If I don't and just keep trying to cover it because I don't want to see it, it can go to any direction. Yes, can heal it. Yes, maybe not. Maybe can even get worse. So I need to pay attention and take care of finances in the same way.
Yeah. Well, and you know what? It's interesting. Before we push the record button, me and you were talking kind of on the side, and I always joke that, like, seriously, guys, I could not make this up. Guests always fall around the time that I'm dealing with something myself. So I don't mind using myself as a guinea pig for the listeners to let them know, like, it is perfectly normal to have some resistance. And one of the areas for money for me is I had met months ago. I want to say, and this, there is a financial advisor I'd worked with years ago who just got me started very basic, right? And one of my barriers in the past was, like most probably, and some people listening, there was, I pretty much had the financial management tools. So I did was okay with managing that. And I was even okay. I learned how to manage even a business's finances, which is a whole nother thing to learn how to do. But my personal management has kind of been neglected a little bit. It wasn't that there wasn't anything terrible or that I was resisting looking at. I just hadn't set an intention to really sit down and look at the future and look at maybe what I wanted to do or what my goals were or what I would like to have happen. And I have learned too that money, like you said, is a tool. And it's either going to, if you have good intentions, if things that matter to you are positive, it's going to amplify that for you to be able to even do more good. If you're not maybe the best kind of person, it's probably going to amplify that way too if you have more. Okay. So I think it happens that way, but it's so funny that we're talking today because just yesterday, I had to get somebody to come. They said, Christy, they realized that I'd been resistant on doing some of the things that they had asked me to do, to look at the wound per se, or just to look at it, do step one, step two, step three. so that they could start helping me paint a picture of what things could look like. And pretty much I had to say, okay, listen, I know myself. I'm going to get busy doing other things. It's not that I don't want to look at this. In my mind, it can just wait, right? It can wait. We can wait. What's the rush? You know what I mean? I'm living okay. I mean, I can, feed myself and all that kind of stuff. But he had to actually come, sit down, hold my hand, say, upload this, do this, link this, so that we could start looking at it and creating a picture of where things are at now. And then ultimately what matters to me in the future and how can we make sure that we're making decisions today that will impact that future self or future family or future how I want things to look for the people around me, whether it be even in my business life, my work family, how I want that to impact them. So I think just sometimes, like you said, we can be really avoidant about looking at things, and it may be because we're too busy in life, or we've had bad experiences, or when we grew up, people fought about money, or there really wasn't a lot of money, so we just feel like money's just going to not be there anyways. But I've learned the more you look at something, it's called in the therapy world exposure therapy, where you look at it a little bit at a time, and the more you look at it, the less scary it is. And even for people that are in like financial situations where they might have an abundance of debt, or there's a lot of things they don't want to look at. I was listening to some reels the other day, and they were showing these girls probably in their 20s, and they were asking them how much, debt that they had. And they were honestly reporting, this is how much debt I had. It was actually more than your $50,000, okay? Which is for a lot of people. And they were like, "Well, have you started chipping away at that payment, or have you started looking at that?" And they were like, "Why would I do that?" Right? And it was kinda like that wound. The more the wound sits there, the more interest is building and things are but it was just too overwhelming for them to even start to look at that. So it sounds like to me that what you advise people to do is like, if you want to have change, if you don't want that looming over your head, we got to take the small steps to kind of look at that. What about the people that are like, listen, I don't know if you can help me. I'm so in the hole. I don't even know which way is up or the light. I don't know how to move forward in this. What encouragement would you give people that are really just very hopeless when it comes to their financial situation?
A great tip that I do is the same way that you would treat your business. That's the way that you should treat your finances. If you're in a family household, set up a meeting. It's a meeting that everyone has to be together for that sake. Yes, it's tough, it's complicated, but it's important because if it's a business, it's a meeting you would accomplish, right? So take your finances the same way. If you live by yourself, schedule time for you to sit by yourself and talk about finances. Do little by little. So start with your budget list. Start with the list of everything that you have. Don't try to go over just your head. Start with your head and then start seeing. Get your money in your bank account and check everything that's coming in and out. We won't realize there's a lot of social media jokes about that and apps that help you with that. But the truth is that we probably subscribe to 7 things or more that we don't even use anymore. We started subscription, we tested, we forgot that our credit card was right there, and we keep going. You start with those little things. And just don't try to say that you have to fix it everything in one day. It will
How
take
many times do
time.
you find people are trying to like, by the time they're ready to look at it, they're like, they want it changed tomorrow? Do you find that that
Oh,
happens sometimes? Like by the
m-
time I'm looking at it, can we just fix it really quickly? Right.
most. Exactly. And that's one thing that we need to understand, that it's okay to take time. It's okay to take time. We have to remember about anything else in our lives, right? I was talking about the wound. You can't do the wound and try to say like, oh, okay, I wash it, I put the cream on it, now tomorrow is fine. Yes, that can happen, but normally that's not how it happens. It's going to be from inside out. And that's the same with our finances. So start little by little. So start setting up a meeting that you would be there. It's half an hour meeting. So do the half an hour. Oh, but I still have a ton more to do. If you have energy, okay. If you don't, it's okay. Next meeting, you will do a little bit more. The idea is just for you to start having the feeling that it's okay to have that meeting little by little. And in a few meetings, you'll be fine with that. It's the same thing. A great tip that I like to share is about money, like how we can understand money. Go back to have the green paper. We can pay everything through the phone. We can pay everything online. We can pay everything with a credit card. But for us to understand fully how money works, paper, the currency itself, is really important because we can go back and see. And we lost that relationship.
How much do you think that has impacted? Let's just be honest. Like, how much do you think that has impacted or influenced maybe people, um, like you said, maybe lack of either planning or even the debt part? The not, because, we used to, you're right. There used to be, I remember a lot of places wouldn't take credit cards, right? Because again, there were credit card fees. Now we're in a place where actually a lot of these people are passing on the fees to the consumer, which is a whole nother discussion. But when people actually interacted with that paper more, where they actually paid in cash, where they maybe paid their bills, even via check, where they had to write out what they were paying for and put it in the mail to send for their bills. How much do you think that has contributed to maybe a lack of financial awareness because we have so much ability to just do this transactional without even having a currency that we're interfacing with?
I would say that's for sure above 70 to 80%. The reason that I think those are so high is because maybe you remember, unfortunately, to use cash to pay for something, but you receive something back. Nowadays, you just tap your phone and that's it. So you don't even realize the amount that money was going out. You know how much 100 was before, you would knew it because 100, if you put 100 and get back 20 back, you only have 20 now. So if you needed something else, it has to be in that 20. Now it's in your credit card. If it's 100, okay. But I start losing how much I make per month versus all my bills. So having that back a little bit, it's okay. I'm not saying to you to drop your credit cards and not use it all, but go back to at least create that relationship. That's going to be super important because that gives us the feeling again what means uh, money going out and money coming in. If you are in a position that's super delicate, maybe you are in more debt than you can see, especially credit card debt. So stop. Stop spending the credit card. Go back to spending in cash because every time that you spend in cash, you're going to be more attentive that the money, how much you had in your wallet going out and coming in. And you will see that there's a limit. The same limit should apply for credit cards, but that's not how we see anymore. So that's why I think my numbers are so high uh, towards that.
Yeah. I mean, I would agree. And I just didn't even think about my lifetime, right? When I was growing up and first dealing with money, I really wasn't allowed to have a credit card for a while, right? Because they wouldn't give credit cards to just anybody, right? Now you can give credit cards to your teenager. I mean, seriously. So they wouldn't allow that use. And I do remember I used to work as a server, waiting tables, and we got a lot of cash that we would get from tips and things like that. And actually, we'd have people paying cash a lot more than probably today. I mean, we're talking about 20 years ago. Okay. But that cash, I remember whenever I'll never forget one time when I was getting off my shift, somebody had broken into my car and I didn't realize that I'd left my purse in there. And I remember I had a few, maybe like $200, but that $200 to me was, that was a lot of money. And somebody had stole the cash out of my car. They took the whole purse. But I remember I was more fearful and I was more upset because that cash was lost versus today, we just use these credit cards and we have to figure out a way to shut them down. But you're right. I think it's just that awareness of what I'm trying to even teach my teenager right now is like when it runs out, it runs out. Right. And I think nowadays we don't have always that feeling of like, okay, this is all. I don't have any more, because we can maybe go somewhere else and get more. then maybe don't have the pain of like, I have to figure out how to make this much money go this far in this situation. Yeah.
So a great example for your teenager, right? So giving cash instead of the credit card, giving
Yeah.
cash. And say, this week, only cash. You have 50, 100, 200. That's your decision there. But say you will have to the whole week with this cash. And that's when we start realizing, because what happened with credit cards is that even though we will use the same way, we don't really think about that. We use
Yeah.
the plastic, just boop,
And she don't
that's it.
either. She has like one of those little Apple Pay cards or whatever that, when they do Cash App, I don't know how it all goes, okay? But then she'll be out of it and she'll be like, "Mom, can you Cash App me XY doll?" Honey, I'm sorry you spent all your money. But it is hard to teach them when we are in this just super electronic transferal of money situation. So okay, well, what if somebody is like, okay, I feel like you are talking about a few things about maybe some steps that I can do to just kind of just be more aware of where my money's going, be understanding a little bit about my relationship with money. And maybe we've talked a little bit about people that might find themselves in kind of an overwhelming situation and how to just start setting meetings to like start looking at it, maybe get help when they need help. Cause I do think that sometimes money can be hard to look at yourself, especially when you don't know how it always works. And not everybody's been taught all the time how money could be worked. I mean, I'm still learning a lot about money that I had my parents taught me some, but I really didn't have some understanding of things that I'm learning now and how money works in the world. But what would you say of those people that are like, maybe I'm not in a terrible place as far as money goes. I maybe have some relationship with my finances, but I am trying to think about the future, but I kind of don't want to think about it because I just want to be in the present. What are some things that you would tell those kind of people when it comes to more of a planning side of things where they may have some financial management skills, but they're wanting to kind of plan of what the future looks like?
I think the important thing is to understand what matters to them, right? So one thing that I truly see as important is first and foremost, not everyone that's trying to help you will say to you that you need to stop living your life now so you can enjoy later. You can do both. So you don't need to be scared of that. Just one thing that's important is to realize that if you're enjoying right now, would you like to enjoy later as well with this something similar or even better? And then when I normally do those questions, people say, huh, yes, I do. I don't want to, because if you don't start looking for your retirement, what's going to happen is that it's going to get a point that, or you will need to keep working forever in your life because you need different. I'm not talking here that you choose to keep working for your whole life, but the fact that you need to keep working because you didn't plan for everything, or you will need to drop everything, the style that you're living right now, because you didn't plan for a moment that you might not be able to do that many hours. We might be able to right now do 40, 60 hours a week, but it's going to get to a point that you might not want that. I already don't want that right now. If I could work 5 hours, I will. That's the truth. It's not underestimating anyone, but realistically, we all would work
Yeah,
less.
I'm saying, I think most people, if we were to give them an option, like, hey, you know what, you can just work as much as you want. If you could work as much as you want, that might be a little, it may be a lot. And either way, you would still be cared for, and the things that matter to you got taken care of. Would you sign up for that? I'm pretty sure all of our listeners would be like, absolutely. Absolutely. The financial security to be able to do what I want to the extent that I want. I don't think anybody would say no to that. Do you, Pre?
I don't believe so. And that's what I'm talking here for retirement. So that's exactly it. So is that, would you want that? And the only person that can do that for yourself is you. You that are here listening, you can continue enjoying your right time now, but if you don't start planning for your future, you get to a point that you might not be able to do something. Yes, there is some things that we can plan on. There's social security, maybe, or maybe not in the future. But realistically, the lifestyle that you're living right now is probably different Doesn't matter if you will have or not that income, an extra income from for a pension or for something like that. So you need to start working towards that as well. And when you start seeing that you don't need to give up on everything to plan for your future, things start getting much better because you start thinking, oh, then I can do exactly what you said, Chris. You say, I can maybe decide to work 5 hours. I can maybe decide to work 50 hours. Doesn't matter, but I know that I'm taken care of. So when I have this clear vision, life starts getting easier and I stop being afraid of money and afraid of losing my life right now. And I start putting aside everything that matters to me so I can accommodate all of it.
Yeah. Yeah, and it is, and I think honestly too, I mean, when you're really able to kind of focus on it and be able to figure out how you wanna do how what you wanna do with it, and I don't know about you, Pri, but there's been times in my life where I have made it with surprisingly very little and still been able to make life, the things that matter most to me, a reality, and then I've been able to deal with more, and I think that each step of the way, the more you had that intention of what is mattering to me right now, then that does allow you to ebb and flow around money, because there's been times when I've like, my sanity is more important right now than the amount of money I made. And I was able to like almost go to a place where my salary that I was making at this job, it dropped the probably lowest it had ever been in my adult life. And I was well along in my career at that point. But it really, honestly, I had peace of mind and I knew what I needed to be able to have the things that mattered to me at that point in time. And abundance of money wasn't it, it was peace of mind and time. And, anyways, there was a trade off on that. But it almost sounds like for you, what you're saying for listeners to think about is that no matter where you're at in your life, the where you're what matters to you, if it matters to you now and what is going to matter to you and you think in the future, what's that vision? And how can we make sure that you are making choices and being able to still live your life now, but to prepare for how life could be in the future? And how can you make sure that, whatever that is that matters to you you're able to either do or have or be able to. And I even think about people that want to give. Like, you may wanna be very generous, like, we can't take it with us, guys. So, I mean, you may plan for your life to say, "My goal is to maybe save or retire in this manner," but I also have a goal to say, "If I can give an abundance to these things that matter to me," whether it be an organization, people, community, then you're also able to do that as well.
Yeah, that's exactly it, Chrissy, is to be able to have that clear vision and know that we can accomplish anything that we put in our vision. Of course, that's legal, right? People just if that's but when we're like, if we put that picture there and we set that as a goal, we can work towards. We just need to really care about what matters to us, understand our principles and values, and make that happen. And everything is possible. You don't need to choose one, we can make it all, but we require our decision to do all the steps that are necessary.
Yeah. How often have you seen people that you've worked with really begin to create that vision that they have for themselves and their life about aligning with what matters most to them?
Almost 95% of the time, I can help, but still about we making the right choices, right? So I will be there to help and educate you towards what means all of this, all the financial options that exist, create the right analysis, help you understand what matters the most, create the right strategies for you to get there. But still, it's going to be your part to do it, ton of it. I'm going to
That's
be
right. You still gotta do the work is what I'm hearing you say, Bree. It's like, I can help you get the steps right, I can help you get the strategy, I can help you see the vision and figure out what you need to do to get there, but you still gotta do the work is what I'm hearing. So
yeah,
if you
no,
were
because
listening and thought there was a magic wand somewhere about still that this is all just gonna change, it's still getting help, and that help does hold accountable. And we were gonna talk about this too, I'm just curious. Because we are now in an AI world. So what about those people that say, "Do I really need a person to help me?" What would you say to that?
great point. I think like just closing up there, like we are here to hold your hands, right? And that's the most important. Like you said, you in the end had someone that went there and hold your hand to find all the papers that you need yesterday.
And I needed
But
somebody to do that, honestly,
but you
1,000%.
had but you had to be there. they couldn't do that alone. They needed you there to do the tasks that are needed. So that's like an important point. And then as answering you about the AI, AI is great. Technology can help us a ton. What I see with AI and all the technology, and even if we go before that, the biggest part about a computer to answer you is that you asking the right questions. But if I don't know what I don't know, how am I going to ask the right questions? If you're a technological person, you call that prompt. If you're like me, that understand a lot about technology but do not use all the terms because I'm not that good at it, I name that questions. If I want my computer to answer me something, I need to ask the right question. But if I don't know what I don't know, how can I ask the right question if I don't know what I have to question it about? So yes, AI can help me a ton, but the right people surround me can help me have a clear understanding what's the right questions to ask so I can get the results that I'm expecting. Because if you use
Yeah.
any type of tool for AI, if you don't ask the right question, you have no answer.
Well, and then I think what you just said, something that's very important. We don't know what we don't know. And I think there has to be in anything that you're trying to create in life, whether it be financial freedom, financial security, or it's creating some big dream that you have for your life. I don't know about you, Pri, but there is so much. We go back to your 20s story. I think about my 20s as that server waiting tables, right? I thought I knew everything, kinda like you, but I there was so much that I did not know that I did not know. And I think sometimes we can get under this impression that we may have arrived, but I don't know about your life. I can tell from my experience. Every time I peel back the curtain, think, "Oh, I have arrived. I figured it out." There's something else that comes in that I don't know that I didn't know, and then that's cost me a lot of times, whether it be time, a bunch of different things, that if I would have just maybe asked somebody that may have had a little bit more experience than me in this area, or looks at this every day. Like, you probably help people every day in this avenue. I do not help people every day look at money. Obviously, I'm the one that needed to be handheld to look at some things, right, and put some information where it needed to be to help have somebody be able to help me. But we don't know what we don't know, and I think we don't always know the questions to ask. And it's interesting, I don't know if you've learned this, but I've learned asking the right question is one of the most important things that you can do to actually get the answer that you need. But if you don't know the right question to ask, you're not going to get the answer that you need because you're not asking the right question, so I like that you said this because I was asking my guy yesterday. I'm like, "What do you think about AI and the financial realm and everything like that?" So I think it is on top of a lot of people's head. But the truth is, a human will help you align what matters most to you, is what I've heard you say, and then be able to make choices that's around that with their area of expertise of knowing how money works and how money can actually work for you.
And something that we mentioned in the beginning of this conversation, right? Even though everything in finances can be rational, final and money decisions are emotional. And at
Mhm.
this point in time, AI has not got about emotions yet. Only a
Well, and it's
person.
don't not have a soul or a spirit or whatever you believe makes us human, okay? It's just never gonna be human, folks. It's never gonna be human, okay? It's gonna know a lot of information, but I think that's another thing of reason why we get help. I don't know about you, if I could learn a lot of this knowledge. It's accessible to all, but I think where we're gonna have an thing, and this is me hopefully not going on a soapbox, where I think that the struggle is gonna go going forward is we are gonna have knowledge overload. People are gonna be able to find knowledge from anywhere, learn whatever they need to learn, whereas the knowledge used to be only for a chosen few back in the day, right? Like, if you only learned from somebody who had the specific knowledge, it wasn't always able to be shared with the masses. But there's knowledge and then there's implementation, and I think that's where sometimes it's hard to know where to start, especially when there's so much knowledge, which is why maybe, I guess, getting somebody to help you along the journey is really important.
Yes, that's exactly it. Is understanding like we can find everything, but if I don't know the right questions to ask, but if I don't understand even what's important for me, because there is tons of options. let's talk about investments. There's a ton of options that would work. House. There's a ton of types of house. 1 floor, 2 floors, 5 bedrooms, 3 bedrooms with a pool, without a pool. But if I don't understand about the right questions, if I don't understand about the goods and bads, I might make a purchase that is not the right fit for me. And the same with investments. There's tons of different investments. But I might feel one thing about money that the computer will not understand. Maybe I'm more conservative. Maybe I'm more aggressive. And all of those things would make the difference in my choices. The same if we're talking here about money, but the same with health, the same with our family. So it's important for us to have the right people surrounding us to help. It's not that we, during this journey, you will not use technology to help you with it as well. But then when you start knowing, you will start understanding what is the right choices of pieces. Because as you mentioned, Chrissy, you can have access to everything. We can have any type of knowledge, but can be too much. And if I don't know what's the right piece to look for, I'm just getting a ton of information and having nothing to do because I'm just lost.
Yeah, and I'm overwhelmed. Well, okay, if somebody listening is overwhelmed right now and they're like, you know what, you've already been bringing up some things that I think I need to take some action on, and they are ready to at least have a call or take action, how can they find out more about you and maybe even connect with you?
The easiest way that you can find everything about me is in my website, precosentino.com. You can just type it, precosentino.com, and you'll be able to find my contact information. You will be able to book a 15 minutes phone call with myself directly, know a little bit more about myself, about some uh, pieces that I have wrote about it, some trainings that are popping up. So just typing in Priscila Cosentino or precosentino.com will truly help you. And it's going to be the easiest way. You have my social media there. But as well, if you like Facebook or Instagram, Precosentino, I tried to make it easy. So
Yeah.
it's one name only. You can find me really quick.
Yeah, and we'll make sure that we'll link that all up in the show notes so that if y'all want to be able to meet Pri or have a discussion with her, that you can. All right, well, Pri, one final question for you today. If you were to go back to maybe that 20-year-old you and give yourself a piece of advice, not that you would have listened to yourself, right? But if you could have given that Pri that was like, I want a helicopter and I'm gonna do something with this 50,000, what's one thing you would wish you could go back and tell her?
Find the right mentors and advisors to be by your side. Understand that you don't know it all. That would be
Yeah.
my 5 minutes coffee if I could go back there is find the right people to be by yourself and understand. And I agree with you, Christy. I don't think I would listen to myself when I say you don't know it all. I probably say like, who are you?
You probably would have argued back, like, "Of course I do. I don't understand what you're talking about, older self."
Yeah, that's probably it.
Yeah. I mean, we've all been there, though. We've been all in there. But, well, I just want to thank you so much for coming on the show today, for sharing your time, your insights, your wisdom, but also being able to help maybe people just kind of look at this money as a tool in a little bit different light. I mean, guys, honestly, what you focus on expands. Y'all know that I always kind of give you a little takeaway at the end, but we sometimes have to take that first step to really look at what it is. If we are wanting something to change in our life, we have to be brave enough to actually start looking at it. Because if you can't start looking at it, it's not going to change. But if you do start looking at it, no matter how overwhelming it may be, being able to take a step at a time will really hopefully get you into a place where you will be able to live a life that aligns with what matters to you. Not only today, but for your future self, future generations, your future family, whatever that future looks like, you can start being able to craft that today. But we just got to be brave enough to just look at it a little bit. Look at it a little bit. And when you start looking at it, if it's overwhelming, go find you the right person to help you along the journey. You won't regret it. We need each other to help us figure out how to make that next step. And so, no matter where you are today, just give yourself permission to ask for help when you need. Until next time. Hey guys, it's me again. Just giving you a little disclaimer. Anything that we talk about on this podcast, money, emotional, mental health, whatever. Just remember that in the case of money, investing involves risk, including the potential loss of principal. No investment strategy can guarantee a profit or protect against loss in periods of declining values. This information on the podcast is not intended to be used as the sole basis for financial decisions, nor should it be constructed as advice designed to meet the particular needs of an individual situation. Content is provided for informational purposes only and is not a solicitation to buy or sell any products mentioned. And again, if you need a financial advisor, a mental health person, whatever, go get you one, okay? All right, there you go. That's my disclaimer for today. Go keep on living your best life.
That's all for today on Inspiring Possible. If you found a little inspiration today, please go on over to iTunes, Spotify, or wherever you tune in to listen to leave us a comment and rate us. Also, make sure and link up with me at inspiringpossible.com to get the free Dream It, Write It, Do It workbook. And don't forget to follow us on social media and share this with anyone who needs to be inspired. Remember, if you can believe it, it's possible.